my pleasure to welcome Father Christopher Rowe here. He is what is your actual title?
Director of Communications and Development.
Okay, yeah, but you're the clergy, as the chief clergy in there. For whatever that's working under sits, Assembly of Bishops. But he's graciously come and offering some of his time to speak with us about the activities of OCMC. We've had, of course, a couple of missionary families. We've had a couple of missionary families here. We've had the Hoppies, of course. Now Nathan is the executive director of OCMC, is no longer there, as well as the McDonald family, also from Albania. So we look forward to hearing a broader perspective over not only what the OCMC is doing now, but the last 40 years. So
Exactly.
I'll hand the floor over to Father Christopher.
Father John, thank you so much, and Deacon John, thank you so much for having me here. So today, I think this is just kind of a nice group. We're going to have a conversation.
Sure.
What I was thinking last night, what a wonderful opportunity this is to, at the same time, honor Metropolitan Theodosius. I was on the Metropolitan Council, 100,000 years ago. Got to know him. Really had he had quite a hand in forming my worldview. To be very honest, as a priest, and even what I'm doing now, serving the church. He had a wonderful way of challenging you in a very loving way, but challenging you to be better, to be different, to be more than you could even imagine. But just in that pastoral, loving way. And I was reflecting on that, and it brings us to kind of where we're at. The Mission Center, doing this work of bringing the mission, bringing the church to all corners of the earth, is something that we're all striving to do more than we could ever imagine. And it's such a cool mission, and it's a blessing to be here with you guys to be able to share it. So, yes, we've been around 40 years. This is our 40th anniversary. So we're going to reflect a little bit on 40 years of impact, but also what the next 40 years will bring. And we're in this transition also. Father Martin Ritzi will be retiring. He's been our longest serving executive director, and Nathan's taken the helm come January 2nd, 3rd, whatever that day is. We go back to work after the holidays. So what are we? Well, ultimately we aspire to bring people into the fullness of Christ. That is what the Mission Center's focus is. But it's also our focus. And this is really the cool part, because there really is no divergence between what the Mission Center is trying to do and what we are trying to do as Christians. I want to show you, this is a very short video, it's about 3.5 minutes, but it gives you a little bit of an overview of our timeline, the 40 years of history.
Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all that I have commanded you. And lo, I am with you always, to the end of the age. It is this imperative that we read in Matthew 28 that inspired the formation of the Orthodox Christian Mission Center, which was led by Father Demetrius Kushel, now Bishop Demetrius of Santos. The Mission Center began its global witness by sponsoring mission students, supporting mission priests, and mission efforts in Africa, Southeast Asia, and Latin America. In 1985, it sent its first missionaries, Father Dan and Presbytera Nancy Christopoulos, to Kenya. They were soon followed in 1987 by the Mission Center's first short-term mission team that helped construct a church for the village of Obedi.
The Mission Center would expand this work in the decade that followed by sending another missionary family, Father Martin, Presbytera Rene Ritzi, and their 2 young children to Kenya. They were joined by several more teams as the Mission Center began expanding its financial support to more countries and increasing its efforts to train new clergy and reach further around the world. By the early 90s, OCMC began working and witnessing in Albania to help rebuild the church there that had almost been completely destroyed under communism.
In 1994, the Archdiocesan Mission Center became OCMC and came under the auspices of SCOBA, representing all the canonical Orthodox jurisdictions in the Americas. And then in 2009, a permanent facility was built to house the operations of OCMC. The Archbishop Anastasios and Archbishop Demetrius Missionary Training and Administration Center, located here in St. Augustine, Florida.
It was also in 2009 that the Standing Conference of the Canonical Orthodox Bishops in the Americas, better known as SCOBA, would become the Assembly of Canonical Orthodox Bishops of the United States of America, bringing together all the canonical bishops in these areas. The Assembly has been further refined to include all bishops in the United States, and OCMC has continued to take the gospel to all nations with the blessings of these member hierarchs ever since.
Since 1985, OCMC has sent more than 119 missionaries, over 2,500 Orthodox volunteers on short-term mission teams, supported nearly 1,000 clergy around the world, and provided millions of dollars for the completion of church projects aimed at ministering to the mind, body, and soul of people in more than 52 countries around the world. OCMC continues to strive to accomplish the Church's mission to make disciples of all nations.
After more than 30 years, and seeing thousands of people come into the church through holy baptism, there are still millions of people who need to hear the gospel message. Whether through prayer, financial support, serving as a parish ambassador, or going as an OCMC missionary, we need you to help in order to answer the great calling, the gift of love that Christ has for all people in all places. Would you come and join us in that great task that is given to us by our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ?
So today we're going to have, this is going to be kind of a tiered presentation. So we're going to talk a little bit about Orthodox missiology, kind of theoretically or theologically. We're also going to talk about some more specific things we're doing. One of the things we're going to do is bring in, and you saw that on the picture that kind of promoted this thing, Dr. Christina, who's a missionary in Argentina right now. So we'll have a little bit more granular understanding of how we do mission work to help build the church up around the world. So we have kind of a couple different layers to this presentation. So here we are. Why missions? Well, we're all doing this. We all should be bringing people from all nations. And that nations means really kind of people, different people. The other, the people we know, the people we don't know, anyone needs to come and hear this story of salvation, that this is the most important thing in the world. Here's the other kind of secret sauce to this whole imperative, the forgotten commandment, as Archbishop Anastasios of Albania called it. The secret sauce is, and lo, I am with you always until the end of the age. So we're not in this alone. We're not doing this somehow as just, here, go. But go with me. And go with me and bring people to me. So that's what we do. So why? Well, Archbishop Anastasios, who, in my uninformed opinion, will be named a saint very shortly. Archbishop Anastasios reposed in the Lord January, mid-January this year, excuse me. So nearly a year ago. But his words are memorable. There's no treasure more precious than the truth that was revealed by the word of God. Therefore, the people who suffer most in our time are those who have been deprived of the word. Not because of themselves, but for the simple reason that those who have known it for centuries are not interested in sharing it. So think about this moment we find ourselves in this Western PA. There's people coming to this church from all corners and all walks of life. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this surge or whatever we're calling it, people are coming from all over to hear the truth. We should be opening our doors and welcoming everyone in and embracing them. Finally, you've come home. And that's our job, is to share this great story of what we do. Well, we bring people to Christ. That's what we do as a community. As a community of Christ here at St. John the Baptist, but as a community of Christ across this nation and literally across the world, we bring people to Christ. The Orthodox Church, the Orthodox Mission Center, does this across the globe, and we give priority to folks who have not heard the gospel whatsoever. And you saw that picture of Father Martin in that video, joining hands with that man from Turkana. That man with the crazy hat. That's Salale. Salale is of the Turkanan tribe. That's way northwestern Kenya, almost to the Sudan, and almost to Somalia. And it is a region that has not been evangelized. And we started there. That video was taken a few years ago. We've started back working there now. We're giving priority to people who have not heard the gospel. We're working with hierarchs and local clergy. We're not necessarily sending missionaries to the ends of the earth. We are, but what we're doing is sending those missionaries to work with the local church. This isn't about the church being made in my image and likeness in Central Africa or in Tonga or in Guatemala. This is about the church embracing the local culture and bringing a local flavor to orthodoxy by local people, indigenous people. And we share the love of Christ. We care for the entire person. This is a beautiful thing that Orthodox missiology embraces. It is about theology. It is about Christ. Everything is about Christ. But it is about building a community that cares for people in all of the context of what that means. We educate kids. We build clinics. We dig wells in the desert of Turkana and Central Africa and Tanzania. We build wells so people have clean water. And then we bring them and let them hold Jesus Christ's hand on that walk of salvation. So we care for the entirety of the human condition. So I want to bring in Dr. Christina. Dr. Christina is our newest missionary. She's serving the church in Argentina. And as we talk about serving the church and really understanding how we care for people, I want to introduce Dr. Christina, because she's doing this work in Argentina. She's doing youth formation. She's doing work to bring youth to the church. So Dr. Christina, I think you can turn on your camera. There you go. There you are.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Is it afternoon by you? Because it's...
No, it's an evening here. It's 9:30 almost.
Oh, okay.
In the evening.
All right. Oh, not bad. It's 7:30 here. So a couple hours.
Yes.
So this is our group. We're in just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. and we have a beautiful group. Somebody here needs to hear what we're going to talk about today. So, Dr. Christina, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. And by the way, we'll have some opportunities because hopefully this all works and Dr. Christina can hear us and we can ask her questions. She's going to present a little bit about what she's doing in Argentina and really what she intends to do throughout South America and Central America and even all the Americas. Eventually, hopefully, from a vision standpoint. But then we can ask her some questions. So, Dr. Christina, you're up.
Wonderful, thank you. Father Chris, should I start with the presentation or?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, start with your, so introduce yourself and then start with your presentation. That'd be beautiful.
Wonderful. I'm not sure if you can see it. Good afternoon. I'm truly very, very honored to be with you tonight. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to present to you a bit about our mission in South America and the work we are building here. Well, the main point that your interest in presence is already very, very important, and it means more than you know. So I will begin shortly with a self-introduction so that you can get to know me a little better. And then a very, very short presentation of our work and what we are trying to do here in the metropolis of Buenos Aires in South America. And the part I'm most excited about is, of course, the discussion and our conversation. So I will be very happy to listen to your questions and your thoughts. I'm not sure if I'm sharing. I think I'm not yet, right?
Not quite yet. There you go.
Yes, it's live.
It is.
Can you see it?
It's almost.
So I moved from Greece to Argentina, and I brought my cat with me, which was a very happy event because I have some company. But in the same time, she poured tea on my laptop, so now it's a bit under functioning. So forgive me if there is delay. Father Chris, I can see your presentation, but not mine for some reason.
So go ahead and you can go forward. Your slides should be there.
Yes.
Keep. Is this my presentation?
Yep.
No, you'll need to. You'll need to pull up your version of this. Or, this is my presentation.
No, sorry, just a minute.
So we hit the whiteboard. You can X this one out, I think.
I think it's loading. Oh, I'm so sorry for this delay.
Okay.
She's very cute, but she's a bit mean, so the cat. I'm sure at some point she will appear in the screen, so you will get to meet her. Yes, so we can see.
Now we're there. Perfect.
Great, thank you. So my name is Christina. I was born in Georgia, but I grew up in Greece in a multicultural immigrant family. My native languages are almost 3. So I speak Russian fluently, Greek and Georgian. So although I was not raised in a very religious household, largely due to the realities of the communist regime at the time, from a very young age, I felt a deep, very steady calling to the church and the Orthodox faith. And this calling accompanied me through my entire life, from my youth and my studies and my academic work, and now eventually my missionary work. And this is the reason I developed a love for languages and as a way of understanding people better and to communicate and communicate in a deeper level. So now I'm learning Spanish, which is actually I think my 7th language, and it's been very, very exciting. Now, growing up between cultures, languages, and countries taught me to appreciate diversity and to feel at home in many different contexts. And For 15 years almost, I worked at the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. 10 of this was in the International Relations Office. At the same university, I completed my undergraduate and graduate studies and also my PhD as a first-generation academic. And I spent more than a decade, or almost a decade, representing the Ecumenical Patriarchate at the World Council of Churches as a youth representative. Which sounds very nice, but the most important, I think, capacity I gained is being from an immigrant family myself, because it gave me the opportunity and the capacity of understanding new cultures, new systems, and new challenges. And with all its hardships, it has made me more compassionate and also shaped my ability to empathize with people who are coming from challenging backgrounds. And thank to God, He brought me to this place where my talents and my gifts have a way of doing something practical here. I firmly believe in education as one of the greatest opportunities for growth and stability and personal spiritual transformation. And this is the main guide of my ministry today here, where education becomes a bridge to strengthen families and support youth and building the future of our communities, always within the church. Now, you may be wondering why mission in Argentina and South America. The main reason is that it's a region where the Orthodox theology is still growing, and many of the communities here are very young. Across several countries, we have 25 parishes across 8 countries. I think it's, if not the largest, one of the largest Orthodox metropolis in the world. And the population, the entire population of the countries is more than 340 million people. Of course, not all of them are Orthodox, but well, it's a very, very, very large region. So across, we see here 2 different realities. One is the newcomers who come to the Orthodox Church and want to be catechized and want to learn more about our faith. And the second part is the people who are already within the church, but through the generations have lost the main keys, let's say, even the basic, the elementary keys of our faith. So there is a very, very big need for re-evangelization of the already faithful here. In the same time, the problem is that there is very limited catechetical resources in Spanish and Portuguese, and well, people here don't speak English or Greek or, well, actually not many other languages except for Spanish, so there is a real need to, in order to approach them, to be able to do it in their own language. And well, we have done some interviews with the clergy here, and it has been very clear for me that there is a need for catechetical materials that can actually use with the people here, especially with children and youth and with their families. And for the moment, most parishes, we have done a small survey, and most parishes have no active catechetical programs, no active or not at all catechetical programs. So we have few materials available which are very outdated. The most recent one is from the 80s, I think. So there is a very, very big need for new, updated, modern material that will speak in the language and to the context of the people here. So our project mostly focuses on creating resources in Spanish and later on in Portuguese. At the moment, we are studying the contemporary catechetical models and developing a multi-use library and teaching space in with the cooperation of the metropolis, so that we could meet some of the basic needs of the clergy and the communities here. So specifically, my work here, when I arrived to Buenos Aires, the first thing I knew I had to do is to listen to people and to see, navigate through their needs and what they want from me, what they need from me. So I began by meeting with clergy across the metropolis, asking about their parish life, their pastoral needs, their vision about the youth and family formation. And well, their responses were remarkably consistent. We need structure, catechetical material adapted to the context, to the local context, and accessible in Spanish language and in Portuguese, as Brazil is one of, well, is the largest country here. Based on this, I carried out a needs assessment with the parishes and began researching contemporary catechetical models from Greece, Europe, and the United States, and selecting materials that could be adapted, updated, and translated to serve our local communities here. So based on this work, we will shape the children's curriculum, for which we'll pilot next year, hopefully, with the help of God. And together with the curriculum, we also hope to make a teaching guide, both for catechists and the families of young children. So the formation can continue at home with the parents and their home community. So another exciting part of our mission, which I'm very, very happy about, is the creation of a small space that will be used as a library for theological and not only research, and also will be used as a multi-purpose space where we can do the catechism and have meetings and seminars within the metropolis. And this project is being developed together with the full support of the Metropolitan here, His Eminence Metropolitan Yosef. At this point, we have cleaned, organized, and cataloged the books we have, and we have received some donations of new books, as well as a donation to furnish the space. So by the beginning of next year, we are hoping to have a beautiful place where we can welcome children and their families, as well as catechists, and we can actually anybody who wishes to learn more about the Orthodox faith, and it will be within our own environment. We are hoping that all of this foundational work that I actually started my mission 6 months ago, so there is not so much progress, but still it's a foundational work at the point that will lay the ground for a mission that will grow and expand and will serve our communities here during the next years. Furthermore, we have started developing some local and international partnerships that could support a more stable or permanent philanthropic program. For many, many years, the local church here had very limited personnel and financial resources. And well, when an organization is trying to survive and striving a lot, it obviously doesn't have many means for social outreach. So with the help of some new people and some donations to this effort, we hope to build a steady social outreach program that can expand over the next years, and we are trying to get the faithful to participate a bit more in these efforts. And one other aspect of my work is that I support the metropolis here in the cooperation with our other Orthodox jurisdictions, as well as other Christian communities. Well, the region here is mainly Catholic, and also, of course, we have Anglicans and Protestants, etc. So the Christian communities here often work side by side. So these cooperations help us develop and strengthen our presence and our witness here. In the next slide, I have some pictures for you from the work we have done. So here you can see a picture from the interviews, and we have made some small focus groups with the youth so we can see how we can better develop the curriculum and the catechism program. This is the library. This is the picture before we did any of the work we have done so far. And this is the after. We just received 2 days ago, actually, we just received the furniture that will go into the library. So next time I will be able to present a much nicer space to you. This is some material that we have so far, and the research and our cooperations. And well, you may think that everything's very nice, but it's quite local. But our vision is actually that our work here, which is just in the beginning, can lay roots and expand locally and even globally, hopefully, to all the Spanish or Portuguese-speaking world. So we are hoping to create materials in Spanish, which is regional, but also can be used even in the U.S. where there are many Spanish-speaking parishes. We can serve all Orthodox communities in South America. Actually, several Orthodox jurisdictions here in the South American region have already expressed interest in using and adopting the material once they're ready. And the curriculum, of course, will be fully translatable across parishes, schools, youth ministries, catechetical settings throughout the continent and across. Beyond this, we are laying the groundwork for translation into Portuguese, which opens the door to serving Brazil, which is the largest country of this region, and to other Portuguese-speaking Orthodox communities worldwide. One example is the South African, where some South African regions where they are Portuguese-speaking, so it can also benefit them. Sorry, just a minute. Yes. So more or less, this is the work we are doing so far. There is a lot of space for service in the metropolis. We have very, very young communities here, and some that are not so young, but still they need a lot of guidance. An example would be, for example, many of our parishioners here, some of our parishioners here lack the very basic elements of our faith. Like they don't really know that non-Orthodox people cannot participate in the Holy Communion, which is very, very basic to many of us, I know, but here for them it's something that they're not accustomed to for some reason. So before closing the presentation, hopefully I didn't get you very tired, I would like to very, very sincerely thank you for your time and your interest, and would like to ask for your prayers. This mission is very young still, but it cannot grow without the support of people who believe in its purpose, which is the formation of people, of children, youth, and families within the Orthodox communities of South America. If you feel moved to support our work, Father Chris has already shared many ways you can do so through the Mission Center, or he will also explain furthermore. But even your prayers and encouragement mean already a lot, and really strengthen our work here in the communities. It has been a very great blessing to be with you today, and thank you so much for the time to listen, to care, and to accompany our mission. I'm very excited to answer to any of your questions. Hopefully you have many. I'm very excited to share these experiences. I think I'm the newest, Father Chris. Am I the newest missionary? Yes.
You are. There's a couple in the works, but right now you are the newest active missionary. So, You can stop sharing so we can see you.
Oh,
Do we?
yes, but you can see the cat behind me.
I know, it's very nice. Thank you for the 40-year club. So do we have any questions? Obviously, you can see kind of the impact that Christina's going to have. Once this is in place and rolling, this is going to be rolled out. Guatemala, there's 50,000 Orthodox Christians. Not all Spanish speaking, but that's their common language. In America, we fall. Go ahead and stop sharing.
Yes, I'm trying to, but
okay.
it's stuck. I'm sorry.
It's stuck.
I'm so sorry.
You can see that.
So you get to see my thank you page.
It's you can kind of envision the impact that youth formation could have when we start to establish Spanish-speaking communities in America. Right, we're very underrepresented in that particular community. In fact, there's more. I'll venture a guess and say there's more Guatemalan Orthodox parishes in America that have been established by Guatemalans here, mostly on the West Coast, than there are U.S. Spanish-speaking parishes in all jurisdictions. So the Guatemalan church, which is still very new, it's only 14, 15-year-old church, 125 parishes in Guatemala, over 50,000 Orthodox Christians in Guatemala from the indigenous Mayan population. Spanish is the common language that's used in the church there. Immigrant populations from Guatemala have been coming to America for quite some time. Many of them are Orthodox. From Oakland to Seattle, there's, I think now, 8 different communities that have been planted, churches that have been planted in Guatemalan communities. So you can see the potential for this youth formation. Any questions for Christina? Father?
Yeah. Obviously, you're in the early stages of getting some of this material translated into Spanish and even Portuguese by extension. I guess you might not have the answer to this. Maybe Father Chris would. But is there going to be an effort to have this available somewhere for free or for pay, on the OCMC website? Because not that we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people here in Canonsburg. I don't know if we have really any people right in Canonsburg. Maybe a little bit farther south from here. We have a small community of Hispanic immigrants who are English as a second language. But I know that I don't know if you're on the OCA clergy group page. It seems like every single week there's someone asking for some resource in Spanish, especially as people are coming curious about the faith into the doors of our church. So I'm curious if the work you and those with you are doing to translate is going to be made available to the broader church throughout the world, because Lord knows we need these resources in Spanish and even in Portuguese.
Yes, of course, that's the point, that we will make material that is accessible to all the parishes that need it. So not only in South America, but also in North America and actually anywhere else in the world, that it will be available, and I think for free. Well, if it depends on us, the point is to have it and to offer it freely. So yes, hopefully by the end of next year, we will have already some samples, and we will have done some piloting of the materials and the, catechetical program. So then we will have some results that we will be able to share.
And then once Christina has this kind of up and running, whether the material is hosted in Argentina or if it's hosted at OCMC, it'll be available. One other resource, and if she hosts it, I'll link to it, and you can always get that on her OCMC.org missionaries. Visit our missionaries. Each missionary has a page that describes their work. On that page, there's a link to support them financially, but there'll also be links to articles, pictures, and even this website, hopefully a website that will be developed with this material. And then that resource will be available on her, in addition to wherever else it is, it'll be on her webpage, on my OCMC website. One other component, and Father, this is, I don't know if you've tapped into this or not, liturgia.mx is work we're doing, OCMC is doing to work on in translation. So we're providing the services to the Spanish-speaking world right now through liturgia.mx. We're also working on doing that in Swahili to East Africa. We're working on doing that in Romanian. We're working on in Syrian. We're working on a whole bunch of different languages to provide the services. Now, it's the GOA template, it's the Greek rubric, but the materials are all there. And Jesse Brandau, one of our missionaries, is updating all that material in the Spanish language version of it. Father James, another one of our OCMC priests and missionary in East Africa, is providing the Swahili version of this. So we're doing a bunch of this kind of stuff, providing resources to the world in a bunch of different manners. Other questions?
Yes, could I add something to this? We already have, the Metropolitan here has translated the liturgy into Spanish, and we have books which are Greek and Spanish at the same time. So if you think that would be something that could help you in your parish, please contact us and we can see how we can provide this to you. And also there is another translation of it's called Keys of Mysteries, which are some prayers and some of the acorrecias of the church in Spanish. So if you think any of these resources will be helpful for your community, please reach out to us and we will see how we could make them available to you.
One more question.
So I was curious if you had any issues with local Catholics or prosperity gospel people in the region, you do mission work there. I was curious what the sort of relationship was.
Well, at the moment, these communities here are very interesting because, there are a lot of very impoverished people here. So these Christian communities offer them both financial support and material support. So it's easier for them to go towards these communities, and whether it's spiritual or not, I think mainly it's not, and mostly material, but people who come to us, to the Orthodox Church, they tend to stay here, and which is very important because the priests at the moment, we may not have a very organized catechetical program, but for every newcomer, there is a priest who accompanies them with the catechesis in a more individual level. So until the time they get baptized or they get chrisma, they are fully catechized, so they are aware of everything here. But yes, there is a very large movement of this alternative Christian communities, let's say. I think, but I think that's global, not only here. But here the problem is a bit more persistent because there are many people with very low income and coming from difficult backgrounds. So it's easier to, let's say, lure them in with small material benefits.
Exactly, that problem it's duplicated throughout all of the mission lands that we work in, where people come for the benefits of the humanitarian benefits, potentially, rather than coming for the right reasons to meet up with God. Now, plenty are, of course, and it's hard to separate, but that is a very common challenge that we face. And the reality is, and I'll talk a little bit about this later as we talk about, I might blow through that part, but I'll just talk about it now. But The reality is what we're trying to do in Orthodox missiology is create self-sustaining communities. So this is the teach people to fish rather than give them fish kind of model of support. In the interim, we need to care for people. Do we need to dig wells? Do we need to pay money to priests so they can support their families? Yes. Is that the long-term model of how we support churches? No. What we want to do is create mechanisms within the context of a diocese or a metropolis that then allows them to feed their own particular needs with monetary support. So we might build a dormitory that then the diocese can rent out rooms to, and then it's a source of income long term. We might in Kananga in the Congo, we're building a pig farm for the diocese, for the metropolis actually. What's that pig farm going to do? Well, it's going to feed the priests, but it's also going to provide income for the diocese. That income will then be used to expand the mission, to pay for the priests, to support their families, all of these things. It's a one-time expense of $80,000 or something like that to build a pig farm. But it's well spent if then it launches them off into a self-sustaining direction. And Christina is facing the same challenges in South America, as is the church in Central America. We need to find mechanisms to build up support and sustaining mechanisms to support those churches long term. And you heard her say 340 million people in 26 churches or something to that effect. I mean, it's a crazy, kind of small penetration into that community, into South America. So.
And if you think that most of our priests here, well, their service is not, they don't get any salary for their services. So the majority of them have jobs like that they can provide for housing and anything that a person may need. And the service they do to the church is something they do beyond their job and something they are very passionate about, so they sacrifice time from their families, they sacrifice time from their work, and they do everything like in a loving, volunteering kind of way, which is very, very, very interesting for me. I came from Greece, and in Greece, all priests have, like, priesthood in many cases is a way to avoid unemployment, and here is the exact opposite. People are choosing this and they are sacrificing many things in order to be able to serve. And in the same time, this is very inspiring because they are all very happy. They are doing the services joyfully and they are enjoying it, and you can receive all this positive energy and all this love they have for the church and the people. But if the metropolis could support them, of course, that would give them the opportunity to serve better and to give even more to the church and to the parishioners.
Yes.
Just touching on what she said, how are the priests in that area trained?
What is the?
I didn't.
Yeah. How are priests?
I didn't hear.
How are the priests trained up typically in South America?
Well, most of them have participated in the church their entire life, and then they are working alongside with the metropolitan. So he helps them with learning the liturgy, and most of them, even though they don't speak like any Greek or any other languages, they are wonderful in the liturgy, during the liturgy, and they are trying a lot, and this is really their personal effort and their love that can get them through. I'm inviting you all to come and witness it. It's a wonderful thing to see. People who have sacrificed their time and they have given their entire selves to that, to learning the liturgy, to serving, to take confessions, to do diaconithias. It's really wonderful, and they learn it besides their time and their actual jobs that sustain their and their families.
So the model of training up priests around the world typically is not the seminary model that we have here in America. Now, there's a couple seminaries around the world that are training up priests. There's one in Nairobi. They're working on one in Congo. They're working on one in Tanzania. So they're working on one in Nigeria. But typically, priests forever have been raised up at the knee of another priest, not really seminary experience. There's always been training grounds for priests for many hundreds of years, but they've been infrequent. The Western model of seminary training is a relatively new development, and obviously is what we expect here in America. But across the globe, typically our priests are trained by other priests and bishops.
Yes, exactly. The learning process is more practical than theoretical. It's very expensive to send somebody to study in an Orthodox country or in a seminary, because you have to, besides sending them there, which means tickets, accommodation, etc., you need to sustain them throughout their studies, because it's quite expensive for any local person from Argentina or any other countries in the South America to go to Europe or the US to stay for 2, 3, or 4 years. So most of them spend some little time in either a monastery or an Orthodox country, but mostly it's their practical experience that helps them learn.
From South America, imagine the nearest seminary is in Australia. So maybe here, I don't know, draw a line, figure it out, but there's not, so that's typical. So this is very typical. Okay, last question. Go ahead.
This is kind of building off what we've been talking about. Are most of the priests in these new missions, are they from the countries in which the missions were set up, or are most of them priests from other countries coming to those missions?
Most are indigenous Argentinians.
Yes.
Yeah, they're by and large local.
Argentinians, well, actually I think we only have 2 or 3 priests who came from Greece. And all the rest of them are from Argentina, are Brazilians, are from Chile, Uruguay, etc. So most are indigenous, who either have Greek ancestors or any other Orthodox ancestors, but most of them are born and raised in the local communities here. And many of them, their families are newcomers to Orthodoxy, so it's very exciting actually. They are they're very happy for their service, and it's a kind of it's a kind of interesting thing to see. They are happy, they are excited, and they do it with such great mood and love and spirit, which is inspiring, really.
Good. Dr. Christina, thank you so much. What a joy to have you with us tonight. This is actually Dr. Christina's first time doing one of these kind of Zoom presentations. So we were really excited was so excited to get her out into the field, into our churches. So thank you for being patient with Dr. Christina. And Christina, thank you so much. It was a great presentation.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I will always have you in my heart. You are my first audience. So I will always keep you in my prayers, and thank you for enduring well, any mistakes, or I'm a bit nervous when I speak to new crowds, so please forgive me for that.
You agree?
But hopefully I could convey all the useful information, and the great spirit and the key facts will remain with you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Christine. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and jump back in. Okay, that was actually great. It was a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be, but I thought the conversation was really nice and really hit on a bunch of topics that I'm gonna talk about anyway. So, uniquely Orthodox method of building the church. Here's the thing. In every community that we work in, and you can kind of get that sense when you're starting to hear Christine talk about Argentina and Brazil and the needs of those communities. We bring Orthodoxy to people in their own context, right? We're uniquely Orthodox. We're Orthodox. We can't change who that is. We do Orthodoxy. We do worship. We do community in a certain way. However, it's uniquely flavored by the context that we find ourselves building that church in. Okay, so it's Orthodox, but it's unique at the same time. So it's common, it's Catholic, one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church, but it's also unique. We respect the language and the culture that we work in. This is incredibly important. And you know, to draw a contrast, and I'm not here to draw a contrast, I don't know anything about any other church but Orthodoxy. But we're not like the Romans who are trying to create little Romans in the world. We are Christ's church. And the seeds of the Holy Spirit have been planted in every single culture that we go to. We've not been, in fact, anywhere where we haven't seen this resonance of truth. Even people coming to this church know this is truth because it resonates in their heart, right? We all have that little God-shaped hole in our hearts. It's fascinating to see this. And I've been in Kenya, I've been in Albania, I've been in Guatemala, I've been in a bunch of different places. To see the church in its fullness in a different culture blows your mind. We are liturgical, right? So this isn't about planting and running. This is about planting a church and creating a community all at the same time. We understand that the Orthodox Church is built around a theology of beauty. So we do everything with excellence. It's part of our DNA, and it has to be. This isn't about a slapdash, and you can get the impression from Christina, this isn't about putting together just some sort of solutions that are going to last, a day or something, and then we're looking for something else. This is about enduring, long-term, beautiful, beautiful solutions to people's lives. We recognize, and I mentioned this just a second ago, but we recognize that the Holy Spirit has been active in this, God's creation, forever. It's really about bringing out and revealing that truth in those hearts and saying, hey, look, here is, by the way, the completion of what you believe. That's what is most incredible about Orthodoxy in missiology. We minister to the whole person. We talked about that before. Local clergy, we've been talking about that, how important it is. We just consecrated last spring, an indigenous Mayan hierarch in Guatemala. It's so important to have that indigenous clergy. And we understand this is about a lifelong relationship. This isn't about hit and run kind of things. Okay.
Father, where was that church that you theology of beauty? Where was that?
That is a Church of the Resurrection in Tirana, in Albania. Yeah.
Is that an ancient Albanian church? Or
Yes, no, it's very new. And so Albania was an interesting country. It had kind of been overrun for like literally 2,000 years by all the cultures of the Middle Europe. Italians, Greeks, the Ottomans had overrun Albanian territory forever. And then, right before World War I, they had kind of attained their own statehood. And then World War I happens, and all the borders are rewritten. Woodrow Wilson, who is the hero of Albania. We don't even give a hoot about Woodrow Wilson, right? There's statues of Woodrow Wilson in Tirana. Woodrow Wilson on a napkin draws back in the borders of Albania after World War I. Albania is a country now. Okay, World War II happens, the communist revolution. They had a particularly ugly flavor of communism that infiltrated Albania. A crazy man by the name of Hoxha was the idiot who ran that country for about 40 years. And then he died, built a mausoleum, actually, built a pyramid for himself to be entombed in. That lasted about a year, and then they threw his body out. But when he died, communism fell. But it was funny, communism in Albania started with the Russians, in the Russian kind of sphere of influence, and then moved to communist China in the 60s, and then they got too soft. And then at the end, for the 70s through the 90s, the only flavor, or the only political partner that Albania had was North Korea. So they were kind of tough. Crazy stuff. You saw the pillbox emplacements. Hoxha had this idea. Now Albania is the size of Maryland, right? He had this idea of creating 240,000 pillbox emplacements, concrete, round gun placements throughout the country. Every river, every road, every hill, every border, 240. He only got to 198,000. But it's like, they're all the size of Starbucks. But can you imagine this? This guy was nuts.
He was assuming that the Americans were going to invade.
Yeah, he was afraid of everyone.
Right.
This guy was nuts. Seriously nuts. But in any case, long story short, destroyed religion, destroyed everything. He died early 90s, 94. Orthodoxy, all religions kind of came back into place. Orthodoxy is still a minority religion in Albania. But the central government gave land to build that cathedral. Literally would be like on, in Washington, it'd be like right between the Capitol and the White House. It's that kind of piece of land that they allowed them. And honestly, Archbishop Anastasios, who was the hierarch for all those years until he reposed earlier this year, worked very closely with the government, worked very closely with other religious groups, the Catholics, the Muslims, really about bringing an Albanian spirit back to life. And it's a beautiful thing, and that church is the resurrection. And it's the coolest thing. I was there 3 years ago with Nathan for Thanksgiving, and I'd forgotten the name of the cathedral. And we walk in and we have liturgy, and I was serving first or second or something, and all of a sudden the choir, we do the troparion, and the choir jumps in, and it's the resurrectional troparion. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. I don't know, it was in November or something. It was just to hear that every week. Anyway, sorry, I digress. Okay, so how do we do this work? These are the components. We have missionaries. We do send the human component. Human resources are still essential. And there's a need for particular human skill sets in the world. Not as much as when we started this 40 years ago. Churches have grown up. They've educated themselves. There's people coming to churches across the globe with skill sets that we don't have to supply. any longer. But there's still some unique skill sets that are going to accelerate the growth of the church. And you can hear that from Dr. Christine with her background, with her PhD in theology, with her experience with the World Council of Churches in youth work. She's uniquely set to do youth formation that will expand to the entire Spanish-speaking world, very, very honestly. So we do need human resources. We're STEMs, we do focus in on that. We provide grants. I talked a little bit about that. How do we invest in a church, in a country, in a diocese, in a metropolis? How do we invest in that place to help them grow up and be self-sustaining? In Albania, Archbishop Anastasios was the master at this. He created a candle shop, a publishing shop, all of these support agencies that then would sell materials. The money would come back into the central church. He built 3 hydroelectric dams in Albania to produce electricity that he sells back to the government, to the country. The money comes into the central church. All of the priests are paid out of this central pool of money. And it's a beautiful self-sustaining investment. We didn't have anything to do with those dams. That's a lot of money. It's like $20 million each dam. But in any case, so we provide grants to invest in our churches around the world and accelerate their growth. I talked a little bit about translations, that we are giving mechanisms to go to liturgia.mx. You'll see the Greek translation. It's the same thing as the digital chant stand, which the Greek Archdiocese here in America uses. Anyone use that, ever see that? So DCS, OCMC developed that, the software for that. DCS2 is on this liturgia.mx, and we're in the process of rolling out that framework to plug in translations and then allow the rubrics, to generate services. So look at that if you have a chance, it's really cool. But we're providing that across the globe right now. We're in negotiations with about 10 different translation groups to do that work. And then we provide mission support to mission priests. 475 priests right now are receiving a monthly stipend. As Christina mentioned, all priests across the globe, pretty much, in non-traditional Orthodox countries, are bivocational. They're working a job. They're farmers, they're merchants, they're whatever. And then they're a priest. So we provide support to mission priests, particularly in Africa. But 475 priests receive this little bit of a kind of a safety net on a monthly basis. That is very important. A couple projects, I just want to go through this real quickly. This is really neat in Kananga. We bought sewing machines. $30,000 investment into this community, bought sewing machines for women. And then they came together and they learned to become seamstresses. 2 women would share one machine, and these are their machines they're walking away with and their certificates that they are now certified seamstresses. Those women are going to go back to their home villages and provide support to their community. Investing, this is a little bit of an aside, but investing in women's projects across the globe is an investment into a sustaining community. Women don't move from their home communities. Men, they'll go off to the big city and make their fortune. But women will stay home and sustain their communities. It's very important. In Eldoret, this is again the diocese in Western Kenya. We're catechizing 10 villages. Right now it's actually a total of 15. 5 old villages, 10 new villages. We're bringing to those communities catechists. We're ordaining deacons and priests. We're building up churches. We're putting wells in place. Turkana is incredibly arid, incredibly difficult place to go. Last year I was in Turkana, and this time of the year, and we had liturgy under an acacia tree. It was 115 degrees and 20-mile-an-hour wind blowing for the 3 hours of a hierarchical ordination divine liturgy. It was like looking into a hairdryer for 3 hours. It was not pleasant. But that's where they live. Diocese of Bukoba in Tanzania, we're building up this seminary. We're completing the construction and the rehabilitation of a building. There will be a seminary. The bishop there is theologically trained. He wants a certified theological institution there in Tanzania. So that's going to be good. Archdiocese of Tirana in Albania, they have radio towers. They have a TV station. They have a communication system from the diocese that broadcasts 24/7. It only gets, though, through the airwaves to about 35 to 45% of the country. So now we invested in an upgrade to their online presence, and you can go look at Radio Njala, Radio Resurrection, and you can get that on, I don't know what it is, radionjala something. But you can actually look at that stuff. Now it's all in Albanian, so if you don't know Albanian, here's where we serve. So we again, work on where the gospel's not been heard, where the church has not been fully established. That's an interesting dynamic if you kind of think about this. Western Europe, particularly, is very post-Christian, right? There's a huge drop-off. People were baptized into the faith and have gone away, are secularized, whatever. Could we be working and replanting the church in these places? That might be the next area of growth for us. But right now we're focusing on the places where we've not penetrated, where there's not been a Christian presence. Right now we're working 35 dioceses, 32 countries, and the dots are where we are
What about
currently
North
working.
Korea? That's South Korea.
South Korea. We're in South Korea. We worked actually very closely. Father Chris Moore, OCA priest, he's in Parma, Ohio right now. He was a missionary in South Korea for us for 2 or 3 years, mostly through COVID kind of time. He and Jen came back, got an assignment in Parma, which is wherever west of us here.
Northwest by about 2.5.
Pretty close though, right? Yeah, Cleveland area. So, great. So we're there, obviously all through Central and Southern Africa. Interesting story. So on the island of Madagascar, here's another way to build the church. So this is probably 20 or 25 years ago. all of the expat Greeks and Russians and whoever else on the island had boogied. They were gone, but there were still churches. The Church of Crete sent 2 monks down to Madagascar. They didn't speak Madagascaran. They didn't speak the language. All they spoke was Greek. And they were said, here, build up the church. So these 2 guys literally just started serving the services and opening the doors to the church. People came. The Holy Spirit led people to that church. Today, there's 2 dioceses. There's probably 35 parishes between the 2 dioceses, 2 bishops in Madagascar. We've supported a number of different projects. They've been hammered by the cyclones and heat waves and crazy stuff, and we've supported them from a humanitarian kind of standpoint. But the last couple of years, but it's crazy, right? In 25 years, from nothing to now diocese. So that's where we work. Our goal is, and this is the summary, all of those things that we've talked about, and this is, I kind of said there'd be different layers on this presentation. What are we trying to do? Literally, we're trying to build vibrant Orthodox communities. And if you want to read what the kind of theological components of that. My new executive director has written on this extensively.
He actually gave a presentation at his parish on that subject. So.
Yep. And his thesis on this, which has been published, is it's thick, but it's a great read, and it does talk about all of the things that are necessary that we kind of take for granted, I think, here in America. I think we understand church, we've understood church for a lot of years, we have a century under our belts and whatever else. We do and we don't, right? We have this way of doing church, but are we being challenged in that? I think we are. I think there's people coming to the church now here in America that are challenging our vibrant Orthodox communities. And we have to adapt to that. And I think if we look at, Metropolitan Theodosius was a leader that was a leader of stability for us. For those years that he was Metropolitan, it was comfortable. I think Metropolitan Tikhon now has an uncomfortable position because it is a moment of change. But we have to keep in mind that we're still having to provide vibrant Orthodox communities in all of the constructs, which means we have to be traditional in certain ways, but we have to be adaptive in certain ways. We have to understand the other as they come. Right? We're called to go to Jerusalem and Judea. That's easy, right? The Jews go into Jerusalem and Judea, no problem. Hey, that's all right. But then, right? They're called to go to Samaria. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What? You want me to go to where? And then the ends of the earth. I don't even know where that is. But Acts chapter 1. So here, somebody here needs to hear this. As the Father sent me, even so I send you. Somebody here needs to go. Or y'all need to go. Maybe that's what this is about. We're called to expand his earthly ministry here on this earth. And bring this to all people. Now, OCMC is doing that, but we're doing it in cooperation with y'all. So help us financially. Help Christina. Go to ocmc.org, find her little website, click on the I want to support you. Give her a $5 monthly gift or something, recurring gift. She is very new and has no support, literally. Support us in this work as we are expanding this across the globe. Serve. Do what God wants us to do. And that's be vibrant Orthodox Christians. And invite people. Or go yourself. We have plenty of opportunities. In fact, we have 17, 18, 19 missionary job postings on the OCMC.org website right now. Describes what it is that we need. We need technology support in Uganda. We need an accountant in some diocese in Kenya. So we need some help. Maybe you all have those skills or know somebody. All right. Anyway, I'm just going to say thank you. Questions or any kind of final thoughts or anything? We went through a lot of stuff. So this was a semester class in Orthodox missiology that you all got in 2 hours.
Do you do certain trips during the year, like
Yeah.
a 2-week or?
We do.
Whatever.
So the team thing, and we were setting 15, 20 teams a year before COVID shut down, international travel. When we were doing a lot of different things. When COVID shut down travel, we took a step back and said, well, wait, this is maybe a good opportunity for us to really assess, are we getting what we are intending? And are we accomplishing what the world needs us to be doing? Or is this, in some cases, and it was, just about religious tourism? and that's not necessarily a dirty word, because I'm gonna go to Kenya as a real kind of a religious tourism group, probably June-ish this next year. But I'm calling it that. I'm not, expecting to go do some work with a bunch of people. I'm gonna go see stuff, and I'm gonna bring some people with me. So we found we weren't having the impact we really thought we were having, and it was very costly, and it was, so we took a step back. So it is building back up, and you'll see it on the website. We have postings, and we also have partner agencies. OVC, there's a couple different groups who do mission work in America, caring for indigenous native populations on the reservations and things here. Project Mexico. So we've posted partner agencies and their opportunities, plus we have some of our own. Father John Jacobs, one of our friends here in Pittsburgh, takes a group twice a year to Guatemala of physicians and medical professionals and cares for the indigenous Mayans. Beautiful program. Has had an impact on that population for years and years. In fact, it was Father John, through that volunteer kind of program, that inspired two sisters to take on the training to become medical professionals in Guatemala, in Aguacate. So, in fact, one is now Jesse Brando's wife. So Juanita is studying to be a general practice, family practice physician. And she's finishing her residential program, and she'll be a doctor by the next summer. And she's going to go serve in Aguacate in the clinic that we established, that Father John helped establish. OCMC worked on in Aguacate. And her sister's a nurse, and she's been there now for about a year practicing, just caring for the population. The indigenous population in Guatemala is incredibly underserved by the civil government. Incredible, which is a whole other presentation by itself.
How do you become a part of the missionary and stuff, and serve?
There you go. Just email me. So that's a great question. So we have a whole missionary department. Father Stefanos Aridzi, in fact, Father Martin's son, who was a missionary in Albania for 10, 12, how long was he a missionary? He was there for a while. And he served with Archbishop on his side. He's come back, he's our missionary director. We have a missionary department that kind of cares for people here in America, kind of recruits them, trains them, deploys them, supports them when they're in the field. So we have a missionary department kind of responsible for our missionaries. But if you're interested, email me, because we can at least make a connection and have a conversation. There's no requirements. And even if it's not now. So by the way, missionary opportunities go from, so not our teams, which was 10 days, 2 weeks, group of people go do something. Missionary opportunities start at, we just sent a young woman to Albania for a summer internship between her junior and senior year in college, and she worked at the orphanage in Durrës in Albania with the Home of Hope orphans. So 3-month internship all the way up to short term, 3 months, 6 months, a year. We'll do like an AmeriCorps kind of a gap year as a missionary somewhere, working with another missionary. And then all the way up to vocational missionaries, which is probably a 2-year commitment. So you sign on for 2 years at a time. But so there's a variety of different ways to become a missionary. We just sent someone to Uganda to teach technology for 5 weeks. So he went to Uganda, taught in the high schools, taught at the diocesan levels, taught the priests how to do things from a social media, website development, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, there's all kinds of opportunities to serve the church in all kinds of time frames.
When you say you send them, do you help with getting them there as far as Do they pay their own way to get there and find their own lodging and so forth, or do you kind of?
Yeah. So all of the above. So yes, we do financially support our missionaries. So for example, if you want to be a missionary and you go out and do some fundraising to support yourself, we match dollar for dollar every donation you receive for the first, until you're deployed. So whatever that takes, 6 months, 4 months, a year, whatever it is, we'll match all that money. So right now, in fact, Christina, we're matching every dollar she generates from gifts that come in from the country. We're matching it dollar for dollar. And then we also work with hierarchs to get them there, put them in safe housing, making sure that everything's right. We have benefits plans, we have all kinds of stuff. It's a regular job when you become a missionary. We have a 529 for kids, we have, relocation packages, benefits packages. Yeah, it's a real career, really. It can be a career, of course. To do something shorter term, it's mostly volunteer.
You talked a little bit about learning about the people we're evangelizing to, particularly their religious traditions, to try to find the nugget of truth
Yes.
that's in it and build off of that. What does that generally look like? Is it sort of you just talk to the people that you're evangelizing, or do you talk to people who are kind of experts in what they believe? What is it generally?
Yeah, I'll be honest, with the internet, there's all kinds of research that's available to all of us. So for example, I went to Turkana last year, I took a bunch of people. I started researching the Turkanan religion. Well, it happens to be monotheistic, but their god was only accessible through the shaman, who was also the leader of the tribe. They're nomadic. There's a shaman and a small group of families that surround the shaman. So they're monotheistic. They think the shaman then is the intercessor to their god, who then their god provides the rain, the health of the cattle. They raise goats typically. There's other stuff, but so when we went as missionaries, and not me, but when real missionaries went, it was really about, you already believe there's one God. Well, we believe there's one God. But there's more to it than that. And by the way, you can talk to God. You don't necessarily need the shaman. The shaman's a great guy, and we're not trying to put him out of a job, but at the same time, you, through prayer, can have that same conversation. And by the way, God sent his son, so this conversation starts to reveal itself surrounding their belief system. It was an interesting dynamic. And we found that to be more often the case. There's a couple exceptions. There's a couple crazy books on missionaries who, found literally opposite kind of cultures in the South Pacific and stuff. But that's pretty rare. Typically, it's something way more familiar. What was it? I can't remember the name of that book. It was about a missionary who went to this super distant, remote island, and he started to tell the gospel story, and they dug absolutely Judas. They thought he was the hero. They thought he was the hero in the story because they valued as a cultural sort of thing, deception. Deception was like their highest. Yeah, seriously, it's a fascinating book. I can't remember the name of it. So you really had to you had a lot of work to kind of turn that story upside down. But they loved Judas. Yeah, because he sold out his friend, and it was like the best sellout you could ever imagine, and they loved it. It was kind of, I can't remember the name of that book. But anyway,
So you mentioned the 2 monks who went to Madagascar, but like, is there like monastic communities popping up in these places as well?
yeah. So monastic communities are not as prevalent. I mean, they're not even outside of in America. I mean, we planted some monastic communities kind of early on, and we don't have a lot, especially when you get away from the East Coast. There's not a lot of monastic communities. I mean, if you look at the Greek, what's the priest? The Greek priest who planted all the monasteries in there. Ephraim, right? So the Ephraimites, like, if he wasn't going to do that, there'd be half as many monasteries in America. So it's kind of interesting that like Central Africa is following along in the path of America, where they're planting parishes and they're developing faith, but the monastic communities are far behind in being planted. There's only maybe 2 in Kenya that I know of. For example, there's 4 dioceses, there's 350 parishes, but there's probably only 2 monastic communities, maybe 3. So for example, and they're more advanced than Uganda or Tanzania or Ghana or East Africa, Nigeria, or West Africa. So, yeah, not as many. This has been great. So we have materials. Take whatever you want. There's some prayer cards for our missionaries. They're like baseball trading cards. So. But you learn a little bit more about some of our missionaries. There's some brochures. There's some opportunities, QR codes if you want to give something. But outside of that,
Can I say one thing?
yes, please.
OCMC also has an ambassador, church ambassador.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so technically, I'm the ambassador. I'm looking to retire.
Oh,
No.
hello.
I'm looking to give someone
Anastasia won't let you retire.
No, I'm going to give someone the opportunity to take this over. It's such a but you just basically keep in touch with Anastasia Barksdale at the office, and she has like quarterly meetings, and then your job is to promote OCMC in this church, and in which case you get a chance to learn about it. So, if anybody's interested in that, it's real easy. It's like,
Yeah, we provide the resources. We just need somebody locally to kind of help shepherd that into the community, whether it's in bulletins or on the bulletin board or making sure the lesson plans. We've just finished those now for Mission Sunday, which was Forgiveness Sunday. So we've just finished the lesson plans. They're going to be published here momentarily. So there's a lot of things.
you do have to get a letter from your priest.
I mean, yeah, but
If that's a problem,
that's
then
that's the least of your concerns.
Last go around. Any questions? Thank you all.
Thank you.